Welcome to the latest episode of the Meatlocker. This man, Ron Jaworski.
Why do we do this show?
The great Jaws. This man, Baldy, Brian Baldinger.
We got to tell the Pepe story before
Gargano.
the show. We got to remind Baldy, tell the Pepe story.
I'll tell Pepe story.
All right. We will definitely tell the Pepe story. You need to know the Pepe story for sure. The big Meatlocker guest today.
Yes.
That's right. Steve Spagnuolo, boys,
Yep.
the interim head coach of the New York Giants right here in the Meatlocker, and he is sensational, to borrow your phrase.
Don't steal my words.
Sensational.
Sensational.
You say it perfectly.
Spags is great, man.
He is.
He's a meat.
Tough
He's a meat.
spot, yeah.
No, very difficult spot. But he handled it like the consummate pro that he is. He had a little fun with us, but also felt very bad that Ben McAdoo.
Yeah, under circumstances.
Yeah.
Circumstances are never good. They're never good.
Coaches, it's a tough business, and Spags knows that.
Yeah. But,
in a really difficult situation. I mean, that whole season has been a disaster.
It's been maybe the story. I mean, if you say, okay, who like the Rams, the Eagles, great stories. But almost trumping that is the disappointment of the Giants.
Well, a lot of people picked them to win the NFC East.
I did.
Yeah,
I thought.
I mean, they were 11-5 last year.
Well,
you saw a great defense, Jaws. You saw a great defense last year. You saw some additions with Evan Ingram. You thought, okay, Eli's got a few more weapons. The offense opened up a little bit, and none of that happened.
Nothing happened.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a fall like I can't remember a team that I at least in my own mind I said it's going to be a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
And just looks like a team that can't play.
Right.
I mean, what a miserable season. But even more important than the record, you look at 2-10. The Giants have been an iconic team for as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
I came in this league in 1973. Been around a long time.
Yeah.
And they were a team that always handled things professionally.
Yeah.
They've shown total dysfunction this season, which is more surprising than their record.
I agree.
And, I still contend that it goes back, and, again, I'm with a quarterback and a lineman, and I still think it goes back to Jerry Reese not looking at the offensive line. I mean, this offense was a disaster from day one because it could not protect the quarterback. It had weapons, but it couldn't run the ball, and it couldn't protect, and everything snowballed from there.
They brought in one offense lineman, DJ Fluker, who's been a serviceable guard in this league, but he's not an upgrade. They didn't address Bobby Hart or Eric Flowers at the tackle position. Correct. And you got an aging Eli Manning that's not running away from anybody. We know that. You got to give him time. They didn't do that. And then in a draft that was chock full of running backs in every single round. I mean, you're watching Aaron Jones in overtime the other day, chock full of running backs in every single round. They didn't take one. Like, it was just poorly. I mean, we can look back now because that's what you do. You reflect. Where's our blind spot? What did we miss? Well, they missed. They missed on the line. They missed on the running back. And they could have had themselves, I think, a couple of good backs. Depending on where they wanted to go in the draft, there was great players available.
Well, we're going to start looking down the road, and the 12 teams that will qualify as playoff teams. And Baldy played 11 years in the NFL. He knows that position as well as anyone. He knows what it takes to be consistent and play that position. The 12 teams that will qualify for the playoffs, I will guarantee you this, will have solid offensive lines.
Yeah.
And you look at guys that weren't hurt, that they've played together, 5 guys for a whole season. I mean, we spend all our time talking about the most important position, the quarterback position. But I know deep down inside, if you don't have those guys in front, I don't care who your quarterback is.
The two teams in the Super Bowl last year, the Falcons and the Patriots, neither one of those teams had a player miss a start on their offensive lines. They started all 19 games.
Well, let's get to it because we're going to talk about two teams in the NFC that are the hottest teams, one in the north and one in the south, and both teams have really, really good offensive lines. Let's begin with Minnesota because Minnesota goes on the road to Atlanta.
Yeah.
And the Falcons were hot. It appeared that the Falcons had regained their mojo. And the Minnesota Vikings, yet again, shut down a high, potent offense. This defense, I don't know, these linebackers are incredible.
Anthony Barr, Eric Kendricks, yep. I tell you, Mike Zimmer's doing a great job. And Pat Shurmur, Charles, you know Pat Shurmur probably as well as anybody in this business. He's doing a magnificent job with a quarterback that has been a journeyman to some degree in Case Keenum. He doesn't look like one right now, Joe. He's got 4 straight starts of a quarterback rating over 100. I know that's in your stat book. I know you have it. But it's
He's got
interesting.
to kill me.
It's interesting when you look at teams that are good offenses, not the best, but good offenses. They don't have to have all-stars at all these positions. If you look at the Minnesota Vikings, what they do in offense, you got Adam Thielen, who's a really good player. He's a Jordy Nelson-type player, not because of his skin color. He's just that type of player. He's got
and speed.
He's got good speed.
Speed and hands. Yeah, that's comparison.
And you got Kyle Rudolph, who can play the tight end position almost as well as anybody in this business. He can run routes. He can block for you. He can flex. He can go he can do a lot of things. And then you kind of work around those two guys, Stephon Diggs. You start working, okay, where can I get, check down here? Where can I get a third down?
I like McKinnon because
Jerick McKinnon is they put him at receiver. He's a third down back. He's a great receiver. He can do it. They have enough pieces. They're not an all-star team, but they have enough pieces to move the ball.
The given has been their defense. You can hang your hat on their defense. It's a bedrock of how their team is organized.
Great secondary.
It's Mike Zimmer. Well, we can talk about his design, double A's, all the cool stuff that he does. If you're going to be a championship team, the quarterback has to give you something. Mm-hmm. And Case Keenum has given them something. Now, as I watched him, it was a blank sheet on Case Keenum. Yeah, he had some pit stops along the way, had some highs, had some lows. You don't know how a guy is going to fit or he grows as an NFL quarterback. Mm-hmm. Case Keenum has shown me those attributes that I think separate the really good quarterbacks from the mediocre ones. And Case Keenum right now is playing pretty damn good. And his ability to move in the pocket, I think, has been critical. Yep. It's not necessarily running outside the pocket a la Russell Wilson. Yeah. He has made plays with the subtle moves. Pressure on him, avoiding the first rusher, ducking up in the pocket,
slide,
and throwing from unique platforms and those uncommon platforms. And those are the little things that the more you watch him, you see why Pat Shurmur liked him. Yeah. And they had confidence, why Mike Zimmer liked him. Wasn't panicking when all of a sudden he became the quarterback and maybe made a bonehead interception like he's been known to do. He has calmed down, and you see him playing from the pocket and moving just enough to allow receivers to uncover downfield.
But, in your world, Jaws, he sees the field really well. He's got great vision. Like, nothing really surprised him. He knows how to, he knows how to protect himself, whether it's hot reads or changing the protection. And he throws with anticipation.
He's a veteran guy.
He's a veteran.
He's a veteran quarterback now.
How about the fact that he was a system guy at Houston and he
played a lot of games at Houston. You can't discount that. He played at.
Well, how much does that affects his how we all view him? Like, we view him as Andre Ware. There's still people who don't believe in Case Keenum, and I think it's because of where he came from.
Yeah. Well,
you can trace those roots, and that's in some people that you'd be wrong because he's not a pure. Now look, we don't know what he's going to be like in the playoffs because that's a whole different game. The way teams come at you, and you'll be judged differently then. But right now, this is an 8-game win streak. Those things, they're rare in this business, 8-game win streaks. They're rare. They happen to a couple teams a year, maybe. And they're on one right now. And it's not just, they're not shutting teams out. They held the Falcons 9 points, but they're putting up some points.
That's damn near a shutout. The Falcons have a lot of weapons.
At home.
You hold that team in Atlanta to 9 points, and it's literally a must game for them.
But I got one for you, Jaws. The week before against Tampa, the Atlanta Falcons, Julio Jones, had 12 catches, 253 yards. Last week, against the Vikings, 2 catches for 24 yards. They took him out?
Yeah, it's amazing. And, you look at – that's a team that's missing Dalvin Cook. You talk about bell cow backs that you like, Jaws. That kid was a stud rookie who was making a big impact. Now, Latavius Murray's come in and been serviceable for him.
That, and along with Jerick McKinnon.
Downhill running game has been effective. But think if you may have had Sam Bradford.
Yeah.
You had Cook. You might be talking about a team that we'd all be picking to run the table. Well,
all right. Now, the chief competitor after last weekend is in the South, and the Saints just completely dismantled Carolina. And that was a rout.
And I'm letting Baldy take this because his guy's been on him all year, and I'm not stealing his thunder here.
Jaws, and I know because he's been.
We know where Baldy's coming on this, and he's right.
He's dead right because you have loved the Saints' defense. You have been talking about the Saints' defense.
They got a piece
and Alvin Kamara.
2 weeks ago, They went to Los Angeles, and they didn't have Ken Crowley Jr., the one corner. They didn't have Marshawn Lattimore. And, the Rams are the number one offense in football. I mean, you don't have two corners that can defend on that side, and that team, you're going to get hurt. And they did. But they got Crowley back last week. He made a couple big plays. They got A.J. Klein, the middle linebacker, back. I mean, he's their quarterback on the defense. So they got some pieces back. But, when you watch the tandem of Ingram and Kamara right now, that's the number one combination in the game.
Yep.
Jaws, they can line up, and they did it last week against Carolina. They can line up in I formation and get explosive plays. Like, how many times, Jaws, you break down explosive plays for you and,
Norv Turner could do that. That's about the only guy that could design explosive
plays. They put
plays.
Kamara in the I formation from the 20-yard line. He was waltzing in the end zone. Like, this kid, Kamara, now he had 148 yards total offense. They're giving him about 14 touches right now in the passing game and the running game. Drew Brees will throw the check down to him. You can put him anywhere on the field. You can put him in the slot, wide receiver. You can motion him. You put him in the tailback. Right now, Sean Payton is in a room on a diagram on a whiteboard, and he's drawing up plays for Kamara.
You know what's interesting, and we were talking before the show. Marcus Colston is a business partner of mine in the ownership of the Philadelphia Soul. So I was with Marcus yesterday, and we're talking obviously about the Saints and the great season they're having and the way they're running the football. And Marcus goes, well, we could always run the football. I said, well, why didn't he? He said, well, Sean chose not to. And Baldy just said, Sean was always this designer, He was the Sid Gilman, the mad professor, wants to go to the board. He says, no, we could always run the football.
Yeah.
Now he's choosing to run the football.
Yeah.
So, but I thought it was, to me, a strong comment because, here's a guy that is a leading all-time receiver with the Saints.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he said, well, we could always run the football, but Sean chose not to.
That's amazing. It's a very damning statement.
Yeah.
But look, Mark Ingram, it's like he's back in Alabama. What is the secret to Mark Ingram? Where did he come back, found the youth? Wow.
I mean, look, he's in his seventh year.
Yeah.
What seventh-year running back, who's been the starter for 7 years, gets better? Like, Ingram's gotten better, but I think a lot of it is Kamara's helped him. They got a real balance there right now.
Yeah.
And they got a real commitment to it. They're good at it. And he's had
I love the B word. I think the teams that have balance on offense are ultimately the best teams as you come down the stretch.
If you look up the stats, Jaws, and you look at the games that Drew Brees has played, and games he's thrown the ball 40 times or more, he's got a losing record. As good as Drew is,
Jason,
you check that out. Check that out, Jason.
Come on,
Jason.
Jason's falling asleep. We haven't anything to do yet today.
Yeah, well, I just gave him one. And 50 times, forget it. But anyways, they got balance. They're good.
All right, so Saints, Vikings. Now let's go to the AFC because Monday night, the Steelers go into Cincinnati, and they were sluggish. First half, really bad. We know all about the injury to Shazier and the impact after we saw the...
They're down 17-0, cuz.
Yeah, no, and we saw the shots right after the Shazier injury of guys literally weeping, crying on the sidelines. They were affected emotionally, and they drew a big hole. You said it, 17-0, guys.
Yep.
And they came back, and they won the game.
They got the ball with 25 seconds to go before halftime, and they kicked a field goal.
Yeah.
Like, when you go in the field goal, and the shots to Antonio Brown, and there you are in field goal range. You go in the locker room at that point. You go, we're going to win this game.
Well, I'm not so sure of that. I think it's. Ben said that after the game they felt that 3 point. It was raining. It's windy. It's like those are nice things to say after the game. I mean, it wasn't a clean game by far.
No.
Yeah, it was. I mean, hey, give Steelers all the credit. I'm not taking anything away from that come from behind victory.
But that touchdown,
the Bengals got to find a way to. You can't blow a 17-0 lead at home in this game that means your season on the line.
But let me ask you this, George. Like, Antonio Brown scores the game-tying touchdown with, 5 minutes ago. And he runs just an inside slant against his own. Like, that's Antonio Brown. You know the ball's going. You know the ball's going to Antonio Brown. They have a history of it going to him. And they still let him. I mean, I know Aloka tried to blow him up and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you can't let that guy walk off the line of scrimmage, man.
No, it was horrible. But that's the Bengals. And that's Marvin Lewis. There's no way in the world he survives this.
No, I don't think so. I mean, he's on the last year of his contract. They gave him 0 extension. He's going to finish this season out, and it may be a Paul Gunther from within, or they go outside. But who knows? I mean, in Cincinnati, if you really look at this team like I do, Baldy does, there's a talented football team.
Sure it is.
There's some talent on
They
that
got-
team.
There's
It's
talent.
just like,
That defense is a good defense.
They got number one. They got number one draft picks at corners. They're 4 deep.
I
Number
know.
one draft picks at corners. They all can play.
No, that's the talented defense. It's, what do you guys think of Andy Dalton? Because I go back and forth, and I still just don't think he's got it.
I'm with you.
know?
I'm a big Andy guy, but I don't trust him anymore. There were some opportunities Monday night, and the ball looked like it slipped out of his hand, and these flutters that were going out there. And you get in these games. There's 1 or 2 plays every game that you're
keep showing
afforded,
up.
and you got to make them, and he doesn't make those plays. Yeah.
It's so weird because you'll see him, and every once in a while, he'll uncork a throw. You go, wow, there's the red rifle.
And you look at the stats, you go, hey, he's having
Yeah,
all
yeah,
that
yeah.
stuff.
Good enough.
But then you watch a game, and the eyeball test says, got to make that throw.
Yeah,
That's the one you got to hit. You want to move on to the playoffs, you got to hit
I agree.
these certain throws in the game.
It's funny because, early on, Cousins reminded me of Dalton. And then all of a sudden, Cousins elevated his game. And I went,
Well, he's got a better arm.
Yeah, he's got a way
Sure,
better
Cousins
arm.
got a
Much better arm, yeah.
But you trust him a lot better because you didn't trust him early on in his career. He would have those moments. But anyway, that is the saga of the Bengals. The Steelers. So how good? I mean, when we do the power rankings, it's the Patriots and the Steelers 1 and 2 in the AFC. Does he look right to you guys? Because eyeball test all year long, very inconsistent.
I would agree with you. I don't see the same guy that I've seen year in and year out. But, when Ben gets his game going, like he did at the end of the first half, into the second half, I mean, he can shred you. I mean, he's got weapons.
Yeah,
they can run the football. Offensive line has been inconsistent, which always affects the quarterback's play. But, I mean, it's hard to say Ben is not going to line up and give you a good performance every week because he's done it for so long. But the consistency at times,
there's like a little
wavers a little bit.
I think they're gonna miss Shazier going forward. I mean, he's not gonna be out there. He's not gonna put him back out there after this. I think they're gonna miss Ryan Shazier. They're gonna miss his speed, his leadership, his toughness.
He's a hell of a player.
I mean, he's an unbelievable player.
And against
man.
the run,
he
man.
hits, but he hits everything that moves.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing that moves that he doesn't strike. And he is, he's not a big guy. When you meet, Ryan Shazier, he's not a big guy. But, man, is he a tough guy, though. Man, he personifies the Steelers.
What do you got, the Patriots next week?
Yeah, next week. Next
Baltimore this week and then
next week.
That'll be a litmus test.
Yeah.
Right.
So if not the Steelers, is there anyone in that entire AFC that can play with New England?
Do not sleep on the San Diego Chargers. An 0-4 start, 6-2. Phillip Rivers, Keenan Allen, a defense that can stop the run. They can blitz. They can get quarterback pressure. Above average secondary. Just watch the LA Chargers.
Isn't it amazing? Imagine if they didn't move to a trailer park.
Well, I'm gonna go visit that trailer park this week.
There you go.
I'm gonna go watch them against the Redskins this week. I'm doing a game, and I'm looking forward to it. I just watched them yesterday.
Are you going to wear that shirt out to LA too? Is that we gonna?
I might stay out all night, Jaws. Just get on the
It's
plane
all
like this.
LA right there,
You
baby.
can find him a
that's
John
right.
Travolta disco
You
club
know.
out there.
With my
Baldy's a man of linen.
my California shoes and no socks, Jaws. Yeah, all the way.
Marina
shot of the
Del Rey.
shoes.
Here comes
might-
Baldy,
No
baby.
socks right here,
No,
baby.
I might steal a pair of sunglasses,
Yeah,
Jaws.
Ask
Our president.
hey.
Ask our president to pardon me. Keenan Allen, Jaws. If you had to rank the wide receivers in this business, I mean, Keenan Allen, is he a top 5 receiver? Jaws?
Yes, absolutely.
Top 3? Nobody can cover that guy right now.
Absolutely. That's one of the reasons. I know Phillip Rivers, he obviously gets the first mention. If you don't have that go-to guy, and he does, it's Keenan Allen. The guy is unstoppable. You look at him, you single cover him. You look at
forget
tape.
it.
He beats you. He beats every time he wins, every time he's in single coverage. And he's not always getting the ball. So
Right,
you
but
watch
he's-
the tape.
right.
You watch him on his right. He's open.
Yeah. No, Jaws, I mean, on Thanksgiving, the Cowboys tried to bracket him. They did. I mean, it didn't make any difference. These last 3 weeks are, he's always had trouble staying healthy, so that's been his issue. But when he's on the field, he's unstoppable. And then if you put you put the pieces around him right now, whether it's Gordon or Henry, put the pieces around him, and you give Phillip Rivers just a little bit of time, Because, he'll do his max protection, Jaws. He'll take his shots. And then you want to come after him like the ball's coming out from every angle. And he looks like he's having fun.
I love Phillip Rivers.
We all
one of
do.
my favorite quarterbacks of all time. This guy you're around Phillip. He's a meat man. He'd
Yeah,
sit
he
here
is.
and he'd drink all the beer with us, and he'd stay
Good
here
old
till the lights went out. Yeah, he just loves talking ball.
He's a good old Alabama
Yeah,
kid, man. His
yeah.
dad was his high school football coach. He pushes the ball because when he was the ball boy when he was 5,
It was too heavy.
It was too heavy. That's how he got the ball back to the coach.
Yeah.
It's amazing. He makes that commute every day to the complex.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
He's got the driver, and he goes through it. And
yeah, but what was his option? What was the option?
Yeah.
You want to go to. People rumored him to Tennessee before and all this. He's a Charger.
Yeah.
He's a Charger.
He's a Charger. One of the most underrated quarterbacks I've always thought of the generation, right? So, I still remember a Sunday night playoff game against Peyton, and he squares off. You remember that Colts Chargers Sunday night playoff game, first round, and they had a great duel. Phillip is one of the most underrated guys. You name it.
I don't know if he's underrated. I don't know. I mean, because
he's not underrated in my book. I think most people have.
I mean, how many
I would agree with
starts-
Anthony.
we don't talk
But does
about
he have
him
the
in that
record right now,
generation.
Joe? With Eli, being benched, does he now have the record for continual starts? He's way up there.
Jason, another question for you. get stats.
Look it up, Jason.
Come on, Jason, wake up.
But I've had the pleasure of going in the film room with Phillip. When Norv was a coach there.
Yep.
And their offense was
Hey,
incredible.
by the way, is Norv doing anything after he left?
No, he's got his kids in, but
I know that's a shame because there's a guy with a wealth of knowledge. Just a terrific football coach.
Oh, great football mind. Great
Norv
football
Turner's
mind.
had a hell of a career. I mean, the game misses guys like that, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I think he was a big influence, with Phillip. But you sit in the film room and you watch this Norv Turner, vertical passing game, Jaws, off play action, the things that they would do. It looks so incredibly simple, and they attack coverages. And he just knows where to put the ball. Yeah. He just knows where it's going to be.
Well, I used to always have this discussion with Norv whenever I'd be covering one of their games. And, we do all these shows that we always do, and I talk about, aggressive down the field, spread them out, 3 wide, 4 wide. And he would always argue with me. Jaws, we got to talk, because he'd hear this stuff. He said, hey, I can go too tight. I can go 21 personnel. And then he'd have the damn video. Look at this big play, 2 tight ends. Look at this big play, 21 personnel. I got one wide receiver on the field. Big play.
Watch him make this one.
Okay, I get your point, Norv. A lot of ways to get explosive plays.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. One team that will not challenge the Patriots is the Kansas City Chiefs.
No.
Now, let's go back because this is the fascinating part about this league is that the opening night of this season, the Kansas City Chiefs go into Foxborough and annihilate the Patriots. They win the game. All the
rookie running
Kareem
back sets
Hunt's-
records.
And for the first 5 weeks of the season, Andy Reid was talked about as though he's going to finally win it. He has that elusive Super Bowl, and it's yet another lesson that you don't win the Super Bowl in September.
And the question will be why, right? That's the question. We all know,
What happened?
And I say this about Belichick. In September he's got his team, but he's got a picture of that team, what it's going to look like going into December, and he builds toward that. And week 1, week 2, week 3, he's going to tweak and he's going to change, and now he's got his team. And obviously the Chiefs came out of the box; they were smoking hot. But if you really looked at it, I never sensed a team that was physical, a dominating physical team. And I don't care what teams are doing with 2 tight, 1 tight, no tight, 5 wide receivers, no wide receivers.
Are you moving the line of scrimmage?
Exactly. The essence of the game is blocking and tackling. All the other stuff is just an illusion, to get your mind thinking something else.
Ghost movement.
And as this season has worn on, if you watch the Chiefs, they've been physically beaten.
Yep.
Defensive line pushed around.
The Jets' Jaws had 85 snaps the other day.
85
500 yards.
Josh McCown.
Josh McCown.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's not a dynamite offensive team.
No.
And you say, wow, but they don't have a physical team right now.
I think a couple other things, Jaws, that happen is one, the offense line isn't winning the line of scrimmage, and Kareem Hunt's gone backwards. So they have a lot of gadgets with Tyreek Hill and Travis Henry and even Kareem Hunt on the seam routes. That all works when you win the line of scrimmage because then you play action.
Yeah, but
you
Baldy, see, not to interrupt you, but I think what happened early in the season, those gimmicks and gadgets work because teams are unprepared.
Okay.
These NFL coaches, I wish
I would disagree, George. I would disagree.
What these coaches do all day, football. That's all they do. They eat, sleep, and drink football 18 hours a day, and they're going to break you down every strength you have, every weakness you have, and they will exploit it and figure it out. So all those gimmicks and gadgets, they figured it out.
Okay.
These coaches figured, in my opinion, they figured it out. If you can't win the line of scrimmage, like you just said, those gimmicks and gadgets aren't going to win your football game.
And defensively, once they lost Eric Berry, he was their captain, their quarterback, their leader. Okay, now he went away, so they got to fill that void. Okay. Derek Johnson has come back from another career, like season-ending injury, and he can't run.
How many
he can't run.
has he had?
I mean, look,
both,
he's had the knees, the Achilles. I mean, you know how these guys get. I mean,
he's a warrior, but he's worn down.
He is. He can't get sideline to sideline. Then they brought in Reggie Ragland, who looks. I mean, he was a first-round pick, but he's never really been a player. He was hurt his first year. He's really never been a player, and he looks lost. And then you look at Marcus Peters. He wants interceptions. He's playing for interceptions. But, you got to – I want my corners to tackle. I want my corners to participate in the run game. He doesn't. And so, they've got issues in the defense right now.
But Marcus Peters has an arm. We saw him throw that flag.
That's right.
He's got a future as an official.
Yeah, but you wanted to worry about him because of how well he threw that flag. He will not be active this week because Andy's going to sit his butt on the bench for the way he acted.
All right, so, listen, we all know Andy Reid and we all respect Andy Reid. What's going on in his head right now? The mark of Andy Reid teams were there was nothing like we saw Sunday.
Yeah, and they also win after the bye week too, and they go up to New York and lose to the Jets after their bye week. And it's a team. It's in a downward spiral.
They're in a spin. They're in a tailspin.
Yeah.
And I said this week, if they don't think it can get worse, it can get a whole lot worse.
Whole lot worse.
Yeah. Because they've already suspended one player. He might not be the only guy before that. I mean, Andy might have to really sit some guys down if they don't act. Because really, the attitude, when you start seeing the body language, guys just hanging their head. Like play after play. It was embarrassing.
Yeah, now they're home this week against the Raiders. And the Raiders, we know about their defense, and we know about, offensively.
So one thing I'll say about the Raiders right now, is they got Marshawn Lynch going. They were trying to pace him during the season, early in the year. And they were giving him 10 carries, 11. Now they're just they're giving it to him. And you know what? He had his first 100-yard game last week. The offensive line is starting to come together a little bit.
Baldy, that's the key. The minute you mentioned Marshawn Lynch, my random thought was, look at their O-line. They're finally playing like the O-line
they're winning up front,
we talked about coming into the season. Remember, it was Oakland, Dallas, best offensive lines in football. They did not play close to that. So now they're coming on, and you say, Marshawn Lynch is getting yards. Well, he's finally getting somewhere to damn run the ball.
Yep.
All right. Before we give our special guest, the Meatlocker, which we love, Steve Spagnuolo, will be joining us coming up shortly. We need to touch on all facets of football. And so
we could be here a long
all
time.
All facets of football. So the college football the playoffs are set. And I was just curious of your guys' thoughts because I was happy that Alabama.
Yes, I know you were. You were very worried.
I was.
That they were not going to be able to participate in the college football playoff. And they got in, and they should be in. They should be in. I mean, if you're saying Ohio State, Alabama, I mean, just one team has 2 losses and one horrible loss at Iowa, and then one team loses to the rival on the road, Alabama deserved to be in.
I agree.
They got it right.
I agree.
They got it right.
They got it right. I think they got it right.
I don't think there's anybody out there on the outside looking in.
Wisconsin needed to win to keep Alabama out. They didn't. They get in.
They didn't play well.
No issue.
No, I think they got it right. And I think we have – look, I mean, Baker Mayfield in this tournament, I mean, good luck trying to defend that guy. Because it's like the Eagles trying to defend Russell Wilson. Like, you draw up all the schemes you want. That guy is just special. He'll keep a play alive for as long as he thinks he can keep it alive.
Something about Clemson, though.
No,
Dabo gets that team.
He does. You know Dabo well.
I mean, he's become a real good friend of the Maxwell Football Club and comes in our awards dinner every year. And I'm a classy guy.
Yeah.
And that guy knows how to coach. And there's no weakness on that team. There's no trademark like we win on offense or we win on defense. Or
you know what I like about Dabo? You know what I like about Dabo? And because it reminds me in some ways of the guy that you played a long time for, in Philadelphia, Jaws, is he's emotional. He's emotional, and not just emotional. He is also a motivator. And I just think motivation is still an integral part of all sports. I don't care what level it is. People need to be motivated. They need to be motivated.
Baldy, you don't limit it to sports. It's a part of life.
No, Jaws. I mean,
if you don't have motivated people, get them out.
No, but Jaws, think about it. Think about how many coaches don't come across as being motivated. They got their spreadsheets here. They've got they've got their scripts, and they go, let's go out and have some fun. Like, to me, I still want to hear that speech. Yeah. Well, I still want to run through the wall.
Man, I could not agree with you more on this. I played for coaches that won close to 1,000 games as a head coach, including Don Shula, Dick Vermeil, Marty Schottenheimer. And I tell you what, you know why they won close to 1,000 games? Every day when they made their presentation to the team, like you just said, it wasn't about the X's and O's. It was something else. The X's and O's, position coaches, coordinators, they'll cover all that. They gave you something to get you going every single day. Why today was important. Why Sunday's important. Whenever you play on Monday, that motivation, something that will get you going and stay focused. Those are the coaches that are successful, in my opinion.
So I played for one of those coaches, Jaws, like in Tom Landry. And we would come in, Wednesday started the week. So you come into the team meeting room on Wednesday, and he had an outline of what it was going to take to beat the opponent, the Redskins, the Eagles, the Giants, whatever it was. This is Redskin week. It was a week unlike any other week. It was our rival. This is what we need to do to beat the Washington Redskins this week, considering injuries, records, home, away. Like, that was you got into your seat, and believe me, your eyes were open, and you were ready to go.
All right, who you got? Let's go. Jaws.
Where we going?
Oklahoma, Clemson, Georgia, Alabama. Who's the national champion?
Clemson, Georgia. Clemson wins the national championship.
Baldy.
Clemson wins.
Alabama.
You're
going to give Nick?
Jason's shaking his head. He's a bulldog. Yeah, Jason.
You're going to go Georgia? Jason's going Georgia?
Yeah, you're going Georgia.
Problem is you're giving Nick.
He's got a big bulldog on his car.
Yeah, Problem is you're giving Nick a month to prepare. Remember, when Clemson beat them before, it was the second game of the championship game. Now you're giving Nick a month.
Overrated.
All right? You're giving Nick a month.
But in a month. They all get a month. They all get a month.
That quarterback's not going to throw the ball any better, cuz. All right?
I hear you.
Jalen Hurts ain't throwing the ball any better in the next month.
He's going to throw through tires
He's going to hang up tires in his backyard and throw every day. I don't think it's going to happen.
All right, there you go. Before we get to our Steve Spagnuolo interview, we now take you to Dateline, Sicily. That's right. Dateline, Catania, Sicily, where Brian Baldinger is coaching the Bergamo Lions.
So,
that's right, Italian football. We play football now.
What year was this?
This is 2010.
Do you?
2010, the Italian League of American Football. Been around for 27
years.
years.
Guy named Marino, maybe you know.
2010
Numa.
season.
No, I played there, Baldy.
Charles, I coached the offensive line.
What's a franchise
for
called,
Bergamo.
sir? I'm looking to buy one over there.
Charles, you should invest.
Can I coach?
Listen,
Make me the coach.
Charles, my left tackle.
Anthony Gargano.
He could play next to my left tackle, Numa Galliari. Numa. He when he got dressed and he put his socks on, he always had a carton of cigarettes, a pack of cigarettes, had some Marlboros in his sock. So, during timeouts, he would just, because he changed smoke. So he would just light up a stick.
On the field?
On the field. Just light up the field. And then, we always started practice, Jaws, with an espresso and some, a little bit of, a little mix.
Medicine, they call it.
Oh, yeah.
They call it the medicine.
Yeah, that's how we started.
What is that?
That was
in the
beautiful, man.
espresso. So tell us the story.
So, anyways, 2010, we're playing the championship game. We're playing against the Catania team. So we're in Bergamo. So we fly
Gonna watch the Sigis.
So we fly from Milan down to Catania. So we get at the airport, and we got handlers that are taking where our bags are. We got buses waiting for us. It's pretty legit. So we get in a
Pretty
bus.
legit.
So it's like 11 o'clock in the morning, and kickoff is at 2:30. So by the time we get in the bus, it's 11:30, and we start driving through traffic that's choking. Like, we're going through downtown Catania. It's it's on the coast, and so
because there was a goat in front of many of the cars.
Well, there was goat crossings.
I can say
there's goat crossings, man. So we got through the goat crossings. The traffic was choking. We're in these buses for an hour and 15 minutes. So because we were having to have a pregame meal. So we get to downtown Catania, and it looks like chaos. It's flat out chaos. They got all these street fairs going on, and people are selling these things, and everybody's hawking something. It's just nuts. So we get to this trattoria, and, guys are looking at the menus, and you're like, how about this pasta
Trying to
today?
feel. It's the best in the city.
The prima party. The secunde party. They're going through this menu, and I'm thinking to myself, like, we got a game to play now. But they're like, they're eating away, and, they're like going, is the, they're looking at the dessert menu, the dolce, right? So, they're looking at the bottle of wine, and I'm thinking, are we here on vacation or here playing a game?
They're looking at the wine list.
Joe, we get back on the buses. It's 1:00, right? So we got a game at 2:30. So they call up the other team. They're like, we're going to be an hour late. So they move it back from 2:30 to 3:30. We go right back through all the choking traffic we just drove through. So I say to the guys, I'm like, what the hell did we just do? And they're like, oh, that trattoria is our favorite. We always eat there. So we're getting dressed. We're getting dressed at this place. And we go out there, and we just stink it up. Like, we're horrible. And I'm the offense line coach, and I'm looking, my right tackle is horrible. He's getting beat. My quarterback is Bradley Van Pelt. Is the quarterback.
Van Pelt.
Yeah, this is the son of Bradley Van Pelt. So Brad's running for his life. And my right tackle is my banker, by the way. Yeah, Pepe.
Story of Pepe.
Pepe Marino. Pepe Marino is my banker.
Any relation to Danny?
No, they're probably all related.
Yeah, right.
So Pepe he's 40 years old. He's been playing in this league since he was 25. Okay, he's a veteran, right? So I go up to him and I'm like, Pepe, I got to sit you down, man. I got to, you're not playing good, man. He starts crying on me, like crying.
He's 40 years
Josh, he started crying. The tears started coming out of his eyes, and I'm like, what the? I'm like, look, dude, Pepe, like you didn't play good. I got a bench. So the guys all come up to me at halftime. And they're like, look, Baldy, he never plays good in the first half in Catania. I go, why? Because he's always sluggish after his meal. But he always plays better in the second half. Leave him in the game. He'll be fine. He played better in the second half,
left
man.
him in?
I left him in, man. Pepe.
Can we get Pepe to Meatlocker next week?
We need Pepe Marino to meet Locker, man.
Here's what's so funny. When you go to Italy,
That's one of the greatest stories of all
Isn't
time.
that a great
That's
story?
one of the great
Josh,
stories of all
they
time.
canceled. They delayed the game. We played it. We lost the game. We lost the game, by the way. We lost to Catania. So the thing that was so funny about it was, like, these guys. Like, I wrote this blog, and the blog was based off a John Grisham novel, Playing for Pizza. And so I started blogging, right? And so it just so happened that the blog started spreading and going around. It got back to John Grisham. And he lives in Oxford, Mississippi. Got back to John Grisham. John Grisham started emailing me about my blog. And he's like, Baldy, this is so good. Like, I think I need to write, like, the second chapter of Playing for Pizza. I'm like, let's do it, man. Let's come on back.
Playing for
is
pizza.
Playing for
I
pizza,
love
man.
it.
Yeah.
Oh,
That is so cool.
that is fantastic.
So my whole goal, so anyways, just to wrap it all up. I told these guys when I got there, I couldn't speak any Italian or anything like that. I said my goal was, all they wanted, Jaws, honestly, was a pregame speech that they just ran out of the tunnel. Like, because that's what their thought of American football was. Vince Lombardi. That's what they heard, right? So I told them, I said, by time the season ends, I'm giving the pep talk in Italian. And I'm gonna do it all in Italian, and you guys are gonna run out. And so I kept working at it, and I gave that speech in Catania in Italian.
Get out.
Yeah, I gave it in
That's
Italian
awesome.
to him, man. Yeah,
But you lost.
we lost. Didn't quite get him.
Forza.
Oh, that's great.
That is. That's a great. That's a Meatlocker story.
Meatlocker story. man.
Basso, I used to tell him, Basso. Low, get low.
Yeah.
Basso, they played way too high.
Well, they drank all that wine.
Yeah.
Well, no, here's what's funny is we go to Italy, and all we want is wine and pasta. All they want is Budweiser and barbecue.
Yeah.
Everybody wants what they don't have.
It's the truth. All right, it's time now for a special guest in Meatlocker. The Giants have had a rough season, and now the interim coach, Steve Spagnuolo, takes over. Spags has been there, won a Super Bowl with you guys. You guys know in 2007 as offensive coordinator, and long ties to New York. He is now the interim coach, taken after Ben McAdoo, and he joins us right now, right here in the Meatlocker. What do you say there, Steve? How are you, man?
Well, look, I'm going to be honest with you guys. You hear these things swirling around. You hope they're not true. I mean, I got up Monday morning after getting back from Oakland, and we didn't get a lot of sleep. And I was actually praying that this would not happen, to be quite honest with you. I have deep respect for Ben McAdoo. I loved working with him and for him. What's not lost on me, guys, is two things. 2 years ago when he became the head coach, we hadn't played great defense, and he stuck with me. I owe him that. I thank him for that. And the other thing is I'm part of the failure. I mean, everybody here is responsible for what happened, and unfortunately in this business, it falls on two people who I got a lot of respect for. So I want to say that first. It's not the way you want to be thrusted in this kind of position. Now, having said that, I am a firm believer in this organization, the ownership, the leadership, the people here, the people that were here before, the people that are here now, the players that are in that room, and I'm more than willing to grab the torch, the flag, and move on. I'm hoping that we can instill some things. I talked with the team this morning about, let's unite, let's restore, and let's find a way to win some games. That's what this business is all about.
It's such a respected organization, Steve, and my brother played for the Giants. There's been greatness for a long, long time. Since the beginning and the founding of the NFL, the Giants have been a part of it. And I just think there's a certain history and respect that comes with that organization. And I just think that has to be part of the message, Steve, that, when you put that helmet on with the Giants, there is a history of the NFL that has put that helmet on. And it's important. It means something. It really means something to all of us. Are football fans. Jaws, Ant, myself. We're huge football fans, but we want to see that respect restored to how you play the game in New York this weekend, Steve.
Absolutely. Yeah, you should have been in our team meeting this morning, Baldy, because we began with the NY up on the screen, and how much the respect comes with wearing that. And that instilling it begins with instilling New York Giant pride. And, I talked with the guys. I told those guys that that's real. That's just not talk. New York Giant pride is real. And there's enough guys in our room, in that meeting room, that know what I'm talking about. Eli Manning's been around enough, JPP, Zach Diossi, our long snapper. We have Antonio Pierce working with us, Jesse Armstead, David Tyree. There are guys in there that know what I'm talking about when I say New York Giant pride. Now, there's a number of guys that I'm not sure that do know that, but I think they're starting to get it. So we took them through. I talked about clarity and direction and how we try to get that back. I'm hoping, today was a good practice, not a great one. I think it can be better. And there were little things that we instilled, some changes. I'm not going to go through them right now, but things that seem little right now, but are detailed and add up to being a lot of things, and they aim all toward instilling and restoring that New York Giant pride. Now, where it manifests is in a game, and you got to find a way to have more points than your opposition and win a game. We all know that. So whether we get that on Sunday or not, it remains to be seen, but that's my hope.
Coach, when Eli Manning was benched, it really shook the foundation of the New York Giants. And I think it probably from even, outsiders that aren't part of, the inner circles, like, whoa. I mean, this one grabbed everyone's attention. And obviously the feeling from the outside was, well, the offensive line wasn't blocking, the receivers are hurt, the running game wasn't there, so you bench Eli. How do you restore the confidence? What does Mike have to do on the offensive side to restore that confidence? Hey, Eli's back. He's our quarterback. Let's move forward.
Yeah. Well, let me give you two things. So when John Mara and I spoke and I decided to do this, or was honored to do it, one of the first questions was, Steve, what are you going to do with the quarterback situation? And look, when I'm coaching the defense here, my blinders are on. I stay in my lane. All I'm worried about is stopping the team from scoring points. So my mind and eyes were not on the offense and what they were doing or how they were functioning. That's just not how I operate. But my gut, I told John that my gut at that particular point said that Eli Manning needs to be the quarterback of this team. I said, I'm not going to react just on my gut. I want to check with the guys that have been working with Eli, the offensive coaches, Mike and his staff. So we did that. And I just kind of pulled it all together with my gut and with those comments. And we believe that Eli's the guy to step in there and do this. When, the other part of it was on Monday before I had made that decision, Eli Manning walked up here on his own and in my office, and he sat down. And Jaws, all I can tell you is the things he said and the look in his eye of the competitiveness, the will, how much respect he had for the organization. He wanted to win. He didn't have to do that. After what happened to him, he could have turned the other way and said he had had enough. But this man is a man's man of great character. You know that. And hopefully all that and, the rest of the team recognizes that we can find a way to rally around him and win.
Well, you've go a long way back with the Manning family, even between Archie, and Peyton, and I know how close you were with Eli. And I'm sure, this sort of thing, you looked at such a great warrior, a great really ambassador to the game, that whole family. And, I mean, I think your past experiences kind of play out here, too.
Yeah, no question. And, before I forget, guys, I want to say something about Geno Smith. That's a hard conversation when Geno and I sat down, but he was terrific. I told him I was going in the Eli direction, and as a man, he said, "Coach, I don't agree with it, but you will get everything out of me that's expected. I'm a teammate. I'm going to be a great team player," and he's done that. I learned more about Geno Smith in that 5-minute talk than I had known the whole time he was here, and I got a great deal of respect for him. So I want to make sure that I mention that. I mean, going back to Eli and what he's meant to this organization and what he stands for, I mean, it's everything that I know and remember about what has happened here before us. And, we stand on the shoulders of the guys that came before us here in this organization. You guys know all the names. I mean, being down there in Philadelphia and Jaws and Baldy, you competed against them. You know the storied history. And that's important. That's important to me. It's important to everybody here. And hopefully, we can make our own history here. We'll see.
So when the guys walked in for practice, you had that piece of paper up in the locker room about attire for practice. And you brought back an old Tom Coughlin and no bright colors at practice. Isn't that right?
How'd you get that all right? You guys are amazing.
He's got his own camera at practice, all right?
Go on,
he was watching today. But he loved your 9-on-7 today, Steve.
See, I love that. I do. I love that, though. I love that because it's little things that go back in the players' minds that you change the culture.
Well, that's a little bit of what I was talking about. I mean, it's a small little thing, but it says, if everybody falls in line, it says that the New York Giant pride is important to you. It's important enough that, hey, we'll be blue, gray, and white. We're all going to be the same. That's what the Giants stand for, and there'll be other little things like that too. And I'm not here to change all rules, and it's not this ain't an elementary school. You got to do this, you got to do that. But there's got to be a sense of these things are important. It sets the table for what we want to be and what we want to represent. And, that's just a little thing. I mean, it's still going to come back to blocking and tackling and being brilliant at the basics. But I think that's a start.
Hey, Steve, I have a little bit of history in what you're going through, this week with the Giants. I played on a team in Indianapolis that fired our head coach, and our interim defensive coordinator became the head coach, Rick Venturi. And what I found, Steve, was, first of all, when they fire the head coach and the general manager, it gets everybody's attention. Like there's, you know what I mean? Like everybody is now, what just happened? And then the interim coach comes in like yourself, and you rally. You can feel it. Yeah. Like, you got everybody's eyeballs in the room. They're on you, Steve. But you get the emotion of that. It still comes down to what you just said, though, the execution,
no
Steve.
Question.
And that's really, where you were failing as a team is in the execution. And that's what you have to really get them. The emotion's going to be there, I believe, Steve. I think they're going to want to play for you. But it's still going to come down to the execution of the game.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you this, Baldy. One of the things that I've always believed in this, John Harbaugh and I used to talk about it a lot, and he does it down there in Baltimore. But this is going to be simple, but it's going to make sense to you, Baldy. That listen, we go out and have an 8-play period, and three of those plays don't go right. Those 3 get added on to the 8-play period, and now it's an 11-play period because we're going to repeat it until we get it right. Let's get the football right.
Yeah,
that's basically the model. So if it ends up being practice goes a little longer, that's the way it is. We're here to get it right. So I'm with you on what you're saying. It comes back to the execution. It comes back to the basics. That's been one of the things we talked about as a staff, and hopefully it has carryover and then makes the changes on Sunday.
Steve, with Jerry Reese being released as well, is there someone now in the front office that you have discussions with about the future? I know you got 4 games left, but is there someone up there, the front office is always involved. They've got their input. Are they going to say, hey, play the young guys, play this guy, or do you have total control of who's going to play, who's not going to play, and what your goals are for to finish out the season?
Well, look at the Kevin Abrams was an assistant GM here, and he's kind of heading up, helping with the personnel. So we've had continued talks, and Kevin's been great. I know him from way back when I was here originally, and you need that. In this particular job, there's so many. You're juggling so many balls that you got to have somebody helping the personnel end. From the standpoint of what we're doing, and I'll be honest with you, Josh, I'm worried about this week only. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure how many games we have after this.
Great approach.
My point to the team, we got one goal, and that's to find a way to beat Dallas, and we'll worry about the next game after that. But what we're doing, and John Mara said it in his press conferences, it's that nobody's tanking here. We're here to win football games, so we'll make the decisions that we think are best in this particular week to beat Dallas, and that's how we'll operate.
Steve, there hasn't been a lot of highlights for the Giants this year, but I remember one distinctly. In Denver, Steve, nobody gave you a chance to go to Denver and win. I remember that goal line stand. I remember the Jackrabbit sticking his nose in there. You had you had that kind of that zone switch right there going on, and he had to fill that gap, and he stuck it, and they stopped him, and it gave you a real lift. There's no reason why you can't do this. There's none. The talent, the skill, it's there. It just has to come together, I believe.
Well, it's been defensively. I'm just speaking defensively now, and we're going to miss Jackrabbit. We don't have him for the rest of the season. We also just lost Jonathan Casillas, starting little linebacker for us. It's been a year of. We have never had a lot of continuity on defense. Olivier Vernon missed 6 or 7 games. And everybody's banged up, and that's what happens when you're having a rough season. But we've had 5 different Mike linebackers. That's hard. It's like having 5 different quarterbacks.
Yeah.
But those are the things. Look, there's no excuses now. I don't want to be making excuses. I just think people have to understand that you have to have some continuity on either side of the ball to keep it going. Last year, we didn't have any of that.
No.
I mean, other than JPP got hurt, but we rallied around that, and we had continuity in all the positions. Everybody gelled, and by the time you get to mid-season, everybody knows where they're going to be and where they're going to fit and place. Here, we haven't had that. I mean, Kelvin Shepard is our starting Mike linebacker now, and he just got to us 3 weeks ago. Now, he was here a year ago, but he hadn't been in football for 2 or 3 months. So that part's been really difficult. That's really hard to overcome in this business. I'd venture to guess, you guys would know better than me, but if you go around the other 31 teams and pick the teams that, have 15 plus guys on IR, I think we're up in the 23s or something. I'll bet you those teams' records probably aren't great. And the teams that are doing real well, I'll bet you they've stayed considerably healthy. So it's hard to overcome, but we have to find a way to do it. And, when Eli lost all those receivers, boom, in one shot, that's tough.
One day.
Yep. That was difficult. But look, there's other ways to win games. We're going to try to manipulate, fabricate, do what we can, and try to find a way. But I'm with you, Baldy. No matter how you slice it, who you got going out there, who's hurt or not hurt, it's the execution and the basics that get you through. The one thing with our football team right now is there's really no margin for error. We got to make sure we're on point all the time.
Coach, when you look at the offensive side of the football, you've obviously, cut your teeth in this league as a great defense coordinator, Super Bowl champion. You win a Super Bowl because of the play of your defense. And now you look at, you're back in the head coaching position. As you look at your role now, obviously focusing on defense, how much time will you spend being aware game day what the offense is doing and what is happening with play selection, decision-making? How big of a role will you have in that?
Well, I'm gonna, again, this is a little different. I go to St. Louis. You have a whole year to get ready, off-season training camp. So I structured it such that I was very involved with the defense and called most of it the first year, then slowly turned it over to Ken Flagel. Now we're in the middle of the season now. I've been the guy standing in front of the defense, and I don't want to disrupt that too much. So I'll probably be heavily involved with the defense. Probably call most of it and rely on Dave Merritt if I have to swing the other way and let somebody else do it. But, from the offensive standpoint, I got a lot of confidence in Mike Sullivan and Eli. they'll run the show. The only thing that I will do is chime in on a game management type thing. And Jaws, I'll be honest with you. This is what I learned my first time around as a head coach. Defensive guys aren't great in 2-minute drill. Calling timeouts and figuring all that shit. We're not used to doing that. So you won't see more. I'll be the guy running down calling the timeout, but somebody will be telling me to call it because they know it better than I do. So I'm not going to be stupid that way. But look, the head coach has to be in tune to managing the game. We're going to punt. We're going to go for a field goal. We're going to go for it on 4th down. And, with help from some guys upstairs, hopefully we'll be able to navigate through it. I'm hoping the experience of 3 years back in St. Louis will help. I got to polish some old notebooks off here and be ready to go. But I'm looking forward to the challenge. I'm excited about it. I just want to get right now, guys. It's just day to day. I'm worried about doing 3rd down practice tomorrow and getting for red zone on Friday, et cetera, and then get to Sunday. So we'll see what happens.
Let's talk about just what you've learned. I always thought, like, we've talked before about having that second time around as a head coach. And obviously it's so different now, and there's 4 games left in the season, that you're thrust into this. But you've been through a lot. You have won a Super Bowl, like Jaws said. You've had incredible highs. You had to go deal with that bounty gate. The minute you walk into New Orleans, first day in, all of a sudden, it's bounty gate. You're in St. Louis, and your second year is when you get your franchise quarterback, and then the 3rd year he's hurt, and you got no secondary. So I mean, like
as you're saying that, Anthony, because all this stuff's coming back to me. I'm going to write a book. I'm going to tell you why. All right, so I was fortunate enough here. It was the Super Bowl. You're right, highs and lows. I get the chance to be a head coach in this league. I get it. The ownership changed. We had a lockout. There was no cap one year. The New Orleans bounty gate. I mean, I got it all. Now I got changes of head coach in the middle of the season. So there'll be a chapter on all of this. I don't know how much I'll remember or be able to help.
I'm buying the first book.
It's some of it. There's highs and lows in this business. Life's highs and lows. As long as if you get knocked down, you just got to be willing to get back up. And when you're up, just keep on swinging. So that's what we'll try to do. It's not easy, I can tell you that. I'm not getting to see Maria as much, Anthony. That's the downside. That's the real bad downside. But we'll keep plugging away, and I'm hoping the good Lord's got us covered here a little bit. I'm a blessed man to be fortunate to doing it, and hopefully something good can come of it.
Spags, I'm thinking about that meeting that you had sitting down with Eli and looking at that fire in his eye, and how a guy like that, a proud guy like that, had that happen to him. And I'm just thinking, like, shoot, Eli must have, probably lined up against the Cowboys now 25, 26, 27 times in his life. There's nobody who knows the Cowboys defense better than Eli Manning. I mean, it's almost like you actually have that going for you, putting him back in to the saddle, looking to really, probably in Manning's style, show a lot of people what he's all about, what that family is all about. And really kind of leaning on him. I mean, nobody knows that defense. They played a lot of quarters against him the first game. You go back and watch that tape. I mean, I think you can really lean on Eli here as far as making some decisions, difficult parts of the game and all that right now.
Well, look, he's got a heck of a lot more experience in doing that than I do. So we'll be leaning on him a lot. But you're right. He mentioned something the other night. I don't know if he was on a radio program or whatnot, but how it really doesn't matter what the records are when these two teams get together and play. If you're able to win this particular football game, you remember it no matter what. So we're approaching it that way. He made that point. It's a good point, and it's because he's played them umpteen times. He knows what this game means. He knows what it's like to be in the middle of it, and hopefully that'll help get us charged up. I mean, I think our football team will be ready, but you made the point earlier, Baldy. It's that carries you so far into the first couple of minutes in the game, but then it's still going to come back to, like I keep saying, blocking, tackling, catching the football, doing the right thing, securing the ball, and doing the basics right. Be brilliant at the basics. So if we can do that, I think we give ourselves a chance. And I certainly like our chances better with a fire Eli Manning right now. With an Eli Manning that in his mind he has something to prove. Yeah, no better motivator, right?
Yeah,
no,
none. And Spags, it's funny you mentioned that because I reached out to Eli last week after he was benched, and if there's ever a time for a guy to be pissed off and be angry and take shots. That was the time. Hey, I've been there, and you're angry. Yeah, you're angry at the world, right, Spags? So,
yeah,
Eli was not. He
was great.
He could have vented to me. I mean, we had the public persona is always he's a classy Manning family, all that.
Yeah.
But we've been friends for a long time. He could easily said, screw them, blah, and it went off. He didn't.
Right.
I mean, he had an open door to vent to me. He didn't. So the fact that he's handled it with class, the fact that he's back in there, and I don't know if there's a better quarterback in the league right now at the line of scrimmage and getting you in the best opportunity, to move the ball. But the fact that his mind is right when he really kind of felt he maybe got shafted, his mind is right, and now he's going to come back and he's going to want to prove that he can play the game at a very high level. So you get a motivated quarterback.
That's what I saw in his eyes, Josh, exactly what you're talking about. And you're right in what you're saying. He's real. He was nothing but character and integrity and handled the whole weekend. I kept my distance because I had my job to do over on defense, but I watched him. I mean, he was a true pro. And I think, you know what? I thought it was, in hindsight, it was really a great lesson to all the young guys here, because everybody's going to face some kind of adverse situation. So it doesn't always go smooth, and he handled it with class. And hopefully, it can be a great story in the end. We get him back here and do some good things.
Bags, I studied that Cowboy Redskin game last week, and they got their horses back up front. They got Tyron Smith back and Travis Wright. They all got him back in there, and then Alfred Morris. He ran like he hadn't really run. He hadn't really gotten a chance, but he looked like a back that I think they thought they had. As a backup to Ezekiel. He never really got a chance to really go, and they got it going last week. What did you see that allowed them to kind of get going? What do you need to do? Because that's really the foundation still, without Ezekiel, for that Cowboy team to get going, is to get that running game going.
Yeah, it begins up front with them, Baldy, and you're hitting the nail right on the head. Now that they got their horses back, a little continuity, they do such a good job at, there's
a lot of 2 and 3 tight ends. A lot of 2 and 3 tight ends.
Yeah, the big guys in there, and they try to out-leverage her and move those guys around. And then on top of that, those guys are pulling a lot. That center pulls real well, and the guard pulls real well. And we've struggled with some edge runs with pullers. We're working the heck out of them, hoping to be better at it. But when they can, like any team, when they can get the run game going with an athletic quarterback, that makes it twice as difficult. So we need to play. We need to play. He's as good. I got enough respect for the back to know that they're going to get some of their yards. Where we got to make sure we don't allow is he's been a real good back this year with yards after contact. He's like 4th in the NFL or something, and so we got to swarm the heck out of him and get him in some third downs. We got to win third down and play good in the red zone. It's one of the reasons why there's extra practice reps of those 2 particular situations in this time of the year. I mean, it's the best formula for at least playing good defensive football is, stopping them on third down and playing good red zone defense over in the end zone, make them kick field goals.
That guy Spags, that Alfred Morris, in the history of the Washington Redskins, he's their all-time, single-season rushing record leader, in 1 year.
He's the real deal. He's the real deal. And he's running behind a good line with a really good quarterback and some good wideouts, by the way, with the tight end that's probably going to the Hall of Fame. I mean, let's not forget all of that. There's a quality offense with you. I mean, people saying they're struggling and it's not the same, but I see a good football team, and that's what we're going to try to defend.
Spags, this is the Meatlocker, so we love telling stories, right? And so I need to take you back, and you talked about
what number beer are you on?
Well, Joel's got fined, so I want to go back to, because you talked about really like getting input from Eli, and I want to go back to the last game of the season, 2007, against the Patriots.
Yep.
And Tom Coughlin makes the decision to play the starters. He tells you Friday morning, we're playing our guys, let's go. Now, fast forward, you guys are walking off the field. Patriots are perfect. They beat you guys. And you're walking off the field, and you're with your guys. And you guys are talking about how you want to see him again in the Super Bowl. Can you pick up the story from there?
Well, I think when you and I talk, what I remember, I think you're talking about, Anthony, is after that game, as I was walking off the field right in the end zone at Giant Stadium, Justin Tuck put his arm around me and said, "Coach, if we see these guys, he just said, if we see these guys or when we see these guys again, he said, let's just rush the hell out of them. Now, where that was coming from was we had already had a playoff berth. We already knew we were playing Tampa Bay the following week. So nothing was going to change. What I did, and I know we were trying to win the game, don't get me wrong here, but part of my onus was to win the Tampa game. And so there were
didn't want to show them too much.
Yeah, I was putting things in so that Tampa Bay would work on them.
Okay.
And so there was some zone pressures we had, and we gave up a touchdown to Randy Moss. And I think Justin was like, "Coach, I don't even know if we need to do those if we're going to." And in my mind, I'm saying, "I get it, Justin, but this game was a little different. We were trying to win it, but he's a competitor, and he was right. We did some different things when we finally got him in the Super Bowl, and thank God for us, the different things that we did."
All right, well, don't fast forward. Don't fast forward.
By the way, I actually thought, they named the MVP after the game immediately. When I went back and looked at tape, I thought Justin Tuck clearly was the MVP of that Super Bowl win.
I'll tell you what, he was very phenomenal. Easily could have been.
Yeah.
You know what, Baldy? The score was 17-14.
Right, yep.
But it was 10-7, and New England was driving.
Yeah.
And had we stopped them and won 10-7, I bet you Justin Tuck would have got it.
Yep.
Don't fast forward yet, though. Hold on real quick, because that run was amazing. You win at Tampa.
Yep.
Then you go to Dallas.
Yeah.
And you beat Tony Romo in Dallas.
And then
Green Bay.
Yeah.
All right?
How cold
was it,
Spags?
That's right, Jaws.
Hey, how cold was it?
It was cold. Here's what I remember. Here's what I remember about how cold it was. We won the game. I don't normally wear a stocking hat. I had to wear one for that game because it was so cold. And even in that cold, guys, you know how it is in the middle of the game. You sweat, so your head's sweating because the heat comes out of there. And when the game was over and I'm walking around, I don't know. Now we're related. I don't know where the heck to go. We got to go inside. I take my hat off, and within 5 seconds, my ears felt like they were going to fall off. It was so cold. I put my hat back on.
The earlobes
froze. It was cold. It was.
I hate when the earlobes freeze like that.
I still see Tom's face. Yeah. That's all I
tell you. You remember you remember Tom's face? That's what you just said, Josh? Yeah. He was that way because he was ecstatic and we were all fired. I mean, it was a great moment, and then to go the whole run, the 2 weeks. Listen, and Josh, you were in one, and what it's like to be in the middle of those 2 weeks and
special,
everything.
Man.
And
it's special.
It is.
Yep.
It is. And then after we won it and all the things that come with it, you can't even describe it. It's hard to explain. It's a blessing from above, and not many people get to experience. And I was just one of the lucky ones that had a chance to do it in 2007.
Steve, when something like this happens, obviously you've worked with a lot of staffs. You've been with Andy Reid. You've been Harbaugh. You've been with Tom. Can you share with us some of the people that reached out to you just to sort of, let you know, like, hey, we're looking, we got your back, Spags. Can you share with us a few people that might have sent you, had your call?
Yeah. I've heard from all the ones you just mentioned, and Tom was one of the first ones. Look at Tom. Tom's still got blue in his blood. You know that.
I know that
because he's all about the New York Giants, and so that was special. And I think when it happened, you know how it is, guys. Here's what happens when you don't win. Nobody texts you. Right? when you win your game, you get a bunch of them.
It's so true.
Something like that.
It's so true.
56 text messages. Yeah, no, it's really when you need them is when you get beat. Right?
Yeah, right.
And you don't get any. But that part of it's all good. I will tell you this, guys. It's very bittersweet. Because look at 2-10 is not fun, and somebody paid for this, and yet it's a lot of people that were responsible, and so we're joking about it and have fun, and that's all good, but we got a job to do, and it's at the some other person's loss, and I'm never going to forget that part of it, and hopefully I can do something good and make some people proud here, and we'll make some differences. It can be like you guys are talking about, because I believe in this organization and hope that I can have a positive influence in it in the next. I'll worry about just this week. Do something positive in this week, and that'd be good.
All right. On that note, you go to work. All right.
Yes.
Go to
I
work.
appreciate you guys letting me go to work. I mean, while I'm doing that, what will you guys be doing?
We're working.
We're working, Steve.
Yeah,
We're working.
We're going to twist
You be
another top
finishing
here.
that bucket.
We're twisting another top here, Steve.
Hey,
guys
Coach,
are the
thanks for
best.
taking time. And
Thanks,
good
Steve.
luck. We're
Good luck
pulling
this
for
weekend.
you.
We're
My
all watching.
pleasure, guys.
We're all watching, Spags.
Love all you guys.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it.
And there he is, Steve Spagnuolo from the Giants
Spags.
checking in. We appreciate
Yeah,
it.
buddy. Yeah, man.
Great
Good luck
stuff
this week,
from
man.
Spags.
Good luck against Cowboys this
It'll
week, Steve.
be Giants and Cowboys. That'll do it, but we're not done yet. Time now for the picks, the selections. And last week, the beer goes to Baldy.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
11 and 5.
Yeah.
The golden beer goes to
I
Baldy.
want to let you know that it was hours and hours and hours of film study, Jaws.
2 games.
Yeah.
Two games
full
did
days.
it.
I didn't go to sleep.
You and Trey Thomas.
Baldy took Minnesota by itself, and he took Spag and the Giants over
That's
the Raiders.
right.
That was the 2 picks he took by himself.
What were Cousin and I? What do we do?
9 and 7.
Respectable.
Hey, we're winners,
Respectable.
baby. We're winners.
That's right, Jaws.
You're with us. You win.
10 and 6 as a group. So if you want to
All right,
follow
on
the
that
meat
note,
picks, 10 and 6 versus
Jaws, you
spread.
mind? You beer me? Is that all right?
I'm
beer me?
I'm
We got a
focused.
little Heineken here?
Yeah, here we go.
I'll give it a little honey. Thanks, brother. Appreciate
Jaws,
it.
Heine's are good. Yeah.
So here's the deal. Picks time as we go. And now we take it to another level. Grazie, Jaws, as they say in Bergamo.
Yeah, they do. They do. Grazie LA. Grazie LA.
I got to learn this language.
Yeah. Birra. All right.
Beta.
Grande. All right. What we're going to do is we're going to give you the score of the game. Jaws has always been giving you the score because Jaws
that's what I do.
That's what
Yeah.
you do.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm a detailed guy.
You are a detail man. So we're going to try to follow suit as you are our quarterback. We're going to give you the score of each and every game.
I'm going to detail my business as well. Here we
All right,
go.
let's start off with the Thursday night game.
Yep.
It's a great
is.
game. It is New Orleans at Atlanta. Falcons, of course, like we said, go down last week to Minnesota. Must win at home. The Saints are a 1.5-point favorite. Baldy, you begin. You got honors.
I'm taking the Saints in this game, 27-24. I think that – no way. Yeah, I mean, look, is that what you got?
Wow,
It's a
27.
3-point game,
No,
Jones.
that's
Hey,
the
great
worst.
minds think alike.
Yeah,
Great
so we
minds
know,
think alike.
Wow.
I like the Saints in this game. I do. I like the way that they're playing. I think Drew Brees is he's got unbelievable, as Jaws says, the B word. He's got balance, and I don't see that changing. They're finding new ways to get Alvin Kamara the ball, and defensively, I think they're going to get Lattimore back this week, and he's just a difference maker.
Healthy on that side of the football. The offense is always going to click under Drew Brees. A lot of weapons, a lot of diversity, the balance that we spoke about already. It's amazing. I got New Orleans 27-24, same as Baldy.
Look at that, you guys. All right, and that means a cover for the Saints for you guys. I'm going to give you Atlanta outright. I'm going to take the Falcons. The home team on a Thursday night is always tough. I think they are the desperate team. I think they need this game to stay alive in the playoffs. So I'll give you a high-scoring affair. The Falcons 30, the Saints 24.
Okay.
All right, now we go to Sunday. The Lions and the Buccaneers. The Lions get drilled in Baltimore. Jaws, the Lions are a 1-point favorite at Tampa. Ugly
I
one.
think Tampa starts to get it together.
Okay.
We use the word trust a lot about the Lions. It's a team I just
No.
don't. I look at them and I say, what do they do well? Nothing jumps out. Where do they struggle? Offensive line protecting Matthew Stafford, defense inconsistent. Stafford's hurt, wrist injury. I don't know what impact that will have. Throwing hand, wrist injury, not a good combination. I'm going to go Tampa 21, Detroit 17.
All right, Baldy.
I'm going to go Lions. 31-13. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now, the right side of the offense line is out. They're done for the year right now, and they struggled to overcome that last week. And this is just a lost year from the beginning. A team that was really, really highly thought of, and I don't think that they're going to turn this thing around.
All right, and your score again is?
31-13.
31-13. Wow. I'm going to take the Lions as well. Much lower scoring game, I'm going to say. Lions 16, Buccaneers 10. So from there, we move to Cincinnati and the Bengals, who, Joe's nailed. We were talking about the Bengals earlier in the show. You completely nailed it. what is it about that team?
There's talent.
There's
talent on that team. Individual talent is there. They just don't play the way you have to play. We throw the word out complimentary. They just don't play. They just play, and they should win more games they're winning. And they're a frustrating team to me, really frustrating. But I do like them in this game.
I do too.
Because Chicago's a mess. I mean, and I just keep thinking back to that Eagles debacle they had a few weeks ago where they just got smashed. They weren't even competitive.
No, they didn't look like they were in the league.
No.
And we don't want to think about Cincinnati. They will fight.
Yeah.
They're a physical, violent team. I'll give them credit for that. Andy Dalton's got to pick his game up. I'm a big Andy guy, but he's leaving too many plays on the field. But against this Bears team, I think it's Cincinnati 21-10.
All right, Baldy.
I'm going to take it a little bit more now. I'm going to take Cincinnati 28-13 in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Chicago is just it's rough. It's a hard watch right now, and they don't. They're just not competitive.
All right, I'm with you. If it's anybody else, I pick against the Bengals, but it's the Bears. The Bengals are a 6-point favorite. Give me Cincinnati 30, Chicago 10.
Ooh.
All right, this next game, Baldy, you were there. You saw them last week. The Bills host the Colts. The Bills go down to New England in the showdown. Is there any hangover effect? The Bills are a 4-point favorite over the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, I saw the Bills last week, and Sean McDermott, he had a good game plan against New England. They just offensively they just can't get the ball down the field. Now, Peterman will get the start, and, he looked good in his time out there. When when Tyrod got hurt, he got the ball to his wide receivers. The reason why they gave him a start a few weeks ago in Los Angeles because, he does get the ball out of his hands. He knows where to go with it, has an idea. I like Buffalo in this game.
It went to the San Diego Chargers.
Well,
That's what he did.
It was a rough start, Charles. He wasn't ready. But
I was sarcastic.
But,
I take that back, Baldy.
No, but I mean, look, I saw Shady the other day. Like, he ran the ball pretty good the other day. Buffalo's defense, they play smart. The ball's not going to go over their head. Tyrod, the guys in Indianapolis aren't going to get behind him.
Pagano's got the Colts. They're playing hard. They just lack talent. They just don't have it. I like Buffalo in a rout this week, 30-20.
All right.
24-17.
24-17. All of us will agree. I'll take the Bills at home over in Indianapolis, 24-14. All right. Let's go continue with the 1 o'clock games. Kansas City against Oakland. The Chiefs in trouble, reeling a 4-point favorite. Jaws, take this one. The Chiefs 4 over the Raiders.
Sometimes you watch a team and you say, okay, they're going to work their way out of this. There's enough talent, they're going to work their way out of it. The Chiefs had enough time. They haven't worked their way out of it.
No.
In fact, they are spiraling badly downward right now. Mm-hmm. You look at the Raiders, I think they're finding a little bit of their equilibrium. What they need to do is run the football, and they are. Mm-hmm. Their offensive line finally playing like one of the top-rated offensive lines that we thought they would be at the start of the season. I like the Raiders 27-21 over the Chiefs.
I like the Raiders, too. I actually have the exact same scores, Jaws, 27-21.
Damn,
it's unbelievable, man.
Hey, folks, we're not even comparing stuff here. We're not. It's just independent picking here.
I think Marshawn Lynch is going to have another big game because I haven't seen anything from Kansas City that says maybe the suspension of Marcus Peters is going to get their attention there in Kansas City. Maybe that's the right thing by Andy. I know it's the right thing to do. I mean, maybe the team will respond, but I saw Darrelle Revis out there trying to play corner. I mean, trying
to make a tackle.
Trying to get out of his break. I mean, it's. He said it was rust. He looked like a little bit more than that.
How about Father Time?
What's the score say?
It says 27-21.
Wow.
We're all the same.
No, I just wrote it down here. I got the Raiders 34.
You got us,
the Chiefs 21. All right. Minnesota, Carolina. This is a game. This is the Vikings' third straight game on the road. Mm-hmm. They started win at Detroit on Thanksgiving Day.
Yep.
They come back last week, like you said, in Atlanta, and now they go to Carolina, and they're a 2.5-point favorite. Baldy, I'd love them again for the sweep.
I do. I like them. I love them as well. I think, look, Cam Newton knows what this is all about right now. I mean, either they're going to be a playoff contending team or they're not. And this is the week that they got to do it, but I don't think it's going to make a difference. I like Minnesota. I saw these double A gap looks to Cam Newton they're going to He's going to be going to bed thinking about these things. You don't know who's coming, where they're coming from. They can throw traps at you, Jaws. Like, they're going to set traps. And I don't know. Right now, I like the way Minnesota's playing. I don't think Carolina right now has enough firepower offensively to counter it. I like Minnesota 24-20.
All right, Jaws?
Minnesota 24-20.
No
Come
way.
on.
Are you serious, Jaws?
Oh, my God.
That's unreal.
Yeah, that's like
other,
crazy, man.
Wow.
Did you steal my notes
No,
before
Jaws,
we started?
Jaws, I wrote these down with this Sharpie here 2 minutes ago.
Guys, do you need to tell me something?
Do
you need to tell me something?
Bright minds think alike.
Yeah.
That's what it means.
I got the Vikings 23, the Panthers 10.
Wow.
That's a beatdown.
At
home?
You've had a few beatdowns.
Yeah, I do. I don't like Cam Newton a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think
that's a personal thing.
No, it's not. I don't like him as a. I think he's a
personal.
front runner. It's not personal.
Okay.
And not that I would ever wear a. What's that?
I don't know.
What's that called
I don't know
again?
what that thing is called. I don't know.
The thing the girls wear.
Yeah.
It's the not the onesie. It's the romper.
Romper.
Yeah, the romper. Yes.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
He wears rompers.
What's a romper?
It's your wife probably wears
Jaws,
it.
you don't have to host a morning radio show, okay? And get people attention. Cuz got to do that.
All right. Let's go. Continue 1 o'clock games. Green Bay at Cleveland. Hold your nose.
Jaws, are we going to see Aaron Rodgers this year?
I think so.
If they win this week, they get to 7-6.
He's running a scout team.
The motivation to me, if I'm Green Bay, is we might get our leader back. Let's go win a game and get in the race, stay in the race, and let's get Aaron back there. Let's give it the
pulled
best
it
shot.
out last week. I agree totally. They go to
Overtime.
Cleveland. Cleveland's going to win a game.
Yeah,
I think Cleveland's going to win a game.
I do too. You know what? I said it on all week long in Cleveland. They got to detail their business better, but they've got talent. They've got talent. I mean, Josh.
What do you think of Gordon?
He looked good, man. He ran the ball the way he runs the way. He's just a beautiful stride. I mean, he's just a big guy that can run. So that hasn't changed. They got some shots to him. But Deshaun Kaiser, he's one of those guys, Jaws. Sometimes he makes a throw and you go, he's got it. And then sometimes you go, oh, man, you can't live with the
That's how he was at
inconsistency.
Notre Dame.
And that's why, when I studied him coming out, I was like, stay in school.
Yeah.
Stay in school. He's one of those
He
guys.
needed another year.
He needed more
I
time.
agree.
He needed more time to mature as a person.
Yeah.
I agree.
He needed more time to work on his game. And he just wasn't ready.
No.
I'm just wildly
He was a
inaccurate.
half-baked pie.
Yeah. Baked pie. I like that.
Stay in the oven.
All right.
Get the season.
I like
All right.
Green Bay 28-13.
28-13.
I thought we might hit this one the same. 21-17 Green Bay.
24-17 Green Bay. So we're in the same neighborhood.
All right.
Now let's go to Houston, where the Texans host the Niners and Jimmy Garoppolo. What did you think, Baldy?
I
You
love
broke
Garoppolo.
down
I loved him.
Jimmy?
He was on. I told the people in San Francisco this week. I said, listen, just for a moment, have some fun. It's holiday season. Close your eyes. Just close your eyes and just think back to that glory decade and a half of Joe and
Steve.
Because that's how the ball came out. The throws that he made, I mean, you could close your eyes and see Brady. The hits that he took, he stayed in their jaws. To use your phrase, he looked down the gun barrel.
Yep.
He took the hit. He delivered the ball on timing. There was rhythm. The offense moved. And now they had to come back and win the game, but the offense
Still, no, it was impressive. I thought it was impressive.
I thought it was a remarkable performance considering he's there a month.
Yeah.
First opportunity, to start a game.
Yeah.
Real time.
It's not easy. It's not easy to do that. I thought he was outstanding, but I don't like him in this game. I think Houston's going to win this one 27-17 in Houston.
I tell you, I like that kid Trent Taylor for him out of Louisiana Tech.
Yeah,
I like that kid,
I do
man.
too. Yeah.
I like San Francisco to keep it going.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I do. I like the energy that team plays with. I like the middle linebacker. Houston right now, Tom Savage. I mean, I know he had a couple throws the other day. They just can't compete right now. So I like San Francisco to win 24-21.
All right. This is real, actually. This is actually real.
You just copied that?
I didn't just say.
You just looked over?
No.
Wrote that down?
No.
It's all right, cuz.
I love.
What'd you have, Houston?
I got 24-21.
24-21 Houston.
Yeah,
he's got San Francisco.
I like the Niners winning. I like Garoppolo.
Well, you'll be wrong. So that's
You
okay.
stole it from me, Baldy. All right, at Jacksonville, Seattle off its Sunday night win over the Eagles now goes to Jacksonville. tough game, tough place to play. I'll start it off. I like Jacksonville this game to beat Seattle. Give me the Jaguars 16, the Seahawks 13.
I tell you, this Jags defensive front, I'm telling you, they are going to abuse the Seattle offensive line. The one weakness Jacksonville has, they will give up some big runs. They're not really run fit, like oriented. They just kind of.
So Seattle has nobody to run the ball other than Russell Wilson.
Their weakness is not going to exploit the weakness of Jacksonville. There's too many athletes right now in Jacksonville. They're all over the place.
But Baldy, the Eagles destroyed Seattle's offensive line.
Yeah, I know.
But Russell Wilson made the plays.
I know.
And I look this way: Bortles, Wilson.
All right.
I'm going.
But what about the other side of the ball?
I got Seattle.
Jacksonville defense, Seattle defense. You like Jacksonville's defense better?
I like Seattle's defense better.
Really?
Yeah.
Even without
No. I'm sorry. No. I like Jacksonville defense better. Sorry, I got carried away there.
I'm going to give you Jacksonville. I'm giving them the win.
If the Legion of Boom was there, I'd like Seattle.
Yeah. Well, they're not coming back. I like the Jags 23-20. I'm going to go see Jacksonville next week. I want them to win. I'm pulling for them here this week. I got a little skin in the game because I want to see Doug Marrone in a good mood.
We all love Doug.
Yeah.
We all love Doug.
He's a meat, so I'm going to go see the meat.
Can't affect my picks.
Yeah, okay.
Can't pick pick my friends.
All right, let's go to the Chargers and Redskins. The Redskins limp into Los Angeles. It's a shame, man.
Can they practice, Jaws? Do they?
No.
I mean, can Jake line up and practice?
No. I think they're signing guys on Tuesday and practicing on Wednesday.
It's been going on so long, man. I love the way Washington just competes and they're scrappy, but the Chargers are hot. And in the right reason. You watch Joey Bosa right now play, and Melvin Ingram in that group. Man. I like what they're doing.
I like the Chargers as well. I mean, Washington is. I mean, I'll give Jay Gruden
the toughest schedule in the league. The toughest schedule in the league.
Tough
by
schedule.
Far.
I mean, but they just Dallas last week. They battle, they fight. They're just so beat up right now. You can't play 60 minutes without getting exposed.
I think the Chargers put up a 30 spot. 30-24.
31-21.
All right, I 34-14. The Chargers.
Man, you got blowouts.
Yeah, well,
All right.
I smell it this week.
All right, cuz. You're feeling it.
I feel it. Jets and Denver.
I love the Jets. I love that. I actually like watching.
Even in Denver?
I don't care.
No, I know Denver's Denver, but
I just like watching the Jets because I know they're not talented. I know they're far from it, but I like what Joe Lombardi's doing. I like what he's doing now.
I've never heard that phrase. I love the Jets.
Yeah.
It's been a long time before that when anyone's ever said that.
Jaws,
but I love them too.
Wow.
Jets 2017.
See?
2017 Jets.
2017, that makes it 3.
Denver's a mess.
They're a toast.
And we go back. I don't want to be redundant and keep talking about the quarterback. Denver can't settle on a quarterback. You're playing musical chairs at quarterback. The receiving core not getting open, given whoever it is, Paxton Lynch, Trevor Siemian, whoever they're going to run out there now. The offense is dysfunctional right now. They've got all kinds of problems in Denver.
Your friend and John Elway said that he was embarrassed by what's happening this year.
Well, he should be.
But defense, they pay a lot of those guys on defense a lot of money. A lot of money to be stars.
Yeah.
And they're not playing like it. I like the Jets in this game because they play as a team. I like the Jets 24-20.
24-20. I'll take the Altoons as well. Give me the Jets 20, Denver 13. All right, Tennessee, Arizona. The Titans, a 3-point favorite at Arizona. George, you want to take this over? Because
I will.
When you look at Tennessee, they're a team that I have trouble figuring out.
The bottom line is winning. I mean, they win ugly. They win sloppy. You watch them. You watch them on TV. Then you plug in the tape. You kind of look for something. Why are they finding a way to win? And they're just like a nondescript football team. And you look for Mario to make a play. Derrick Henry's going to bust one loose. Maybe Murray's going to give you something. They're a very vanilla team, but they find a way to win. Mm-hmm. Defense is good enough. Offense is good enough. They slop around. The end of the game, they got more points than you. And you go, what happened? That's the kind of team they are, and I like. And Arizona's been a disappointment to me this year. I obviously the loss to Carson Palmer. That's where it started. But this is a team defensively. Back to the Eagles game. Remember the Eagles embarrassed that secondary.
Jaws, you remember when Patrick Peterson and Tyrann Mathieu was the talk of this league?
Lockdown.
I saw the Rams abuse both those guys last week. Both of them.
Yeah.
24-14, Tennessee over Arizona.
I like the Titans 27-20.
I'm going to take the Titans 24 and Arizona 13.
Oh.
So I just don't like their offense. The only move is, all right, now let's go to earlier. We had Steve Spagnuolo on the program. His Giants host the Cowboys. The Cowboys are a 4.5-point favorite. Guys, I mean, and this is not because Steve was on the program, but you know what happens when you have a situation like this and it's ugly, it's out of hand, and now all of a sudden an interim coach comes in. And, Baldy, I can see the Giants winning this game outright.
Listen, I played on a team that fired a head coach, all right? We had the interim defensive coordinator become the head coach. When I was in Indianapolis, we went to the Jets. We won our one game. We won our one game that we got. We got the emotional thing. We did enough things against the Jets in New York to win the game. And I think Spag's going to do the same thing. I think Spag's going to do a good job this week. I think defensively, I know Jack Rapper's gone, and but I think they're going to rally. I think they're just going to rally. I mean, I'm not impressed by Dallas.
I'm not either. Again, they ran the ball.
They ran the ball well last week, but they hadn't done that before.
And again, Washington turned the ball over 4 times, 3 early, which shaped that game last week.
Yep. You know what? I played for the only undefeated coach in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles. We had a coach that was undefeated.
Oh, really?
Did you know that?
I do know that. And
Fred Bruni.
Bruni, yes.
Was he an interim?
Yes.
Yes.
So that's what I'm getting to.
Yeah.
Marion Campbell got fired.
Yeah.
Fred Bruni
Swamp Fox
came
out.
in, took over, and we won.
Won?
It was 1-0.
Yeah.
Winningest coach ever.
Yeah.
1,100% win. And I remember, because we did everything different. Whatever Marion did, Fred did the opposite. We came in, opening game, no huddle, spread it out. Defense flipped from conservative to blitz every down. Fred was trying to become the head coach. Hey, I'm not going to be Marion Campbell. He lost his job. He didn't get the job. But anyway, you could see the flip. I don't think Spags will do that because he's going to do what he does.
You know what I do think is going to happen, though, Joe? I think Eli's going to call a lot of his plays.
He always does.
But I think he's going to take charge.
Yeah, I can see him having a big game.
At the end of the day, though, and this is why I like Dallas 27-20. Players are going to win the game, and I think the Giants are so depleted right now. You heard Spags talking about all the guys he's lost right now to injury. Man, they got nothing. You
know who's unimpressive, Doc? Look, they ran it, but Dak Prescott was awful in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Awful.
He wasn't good.
And down the field, Dez just doesn't look like.
Does he run a route, Jones? Does he have a route that you can actually run? What does he do? He just runs.
That
and then
smoke is a good route that they run a lot of. Yeah,
he doesn't run a route.
Good smoke route. Stand, turn around.
I like the Giants 2017.
All right. What'd you score, Jones?
I had Dallas 27-20 over the G-Men.
All right. I'll take the Giants 27, the Cowboys 23. Now the jewel of the afternoon games from Los Angeles.
I can't wait to talk about this.
If they play, guys, there are major fires going on in Southern California.
Air is very unsafe.
Yeah, the Rams had to cancel practice on Wednesday because of the air quality. But assuming they play the game, it's a showdown. It's Carson Wentz and Jared Goff.
Yeah.
It's the Eagles and Rams, 2 high-powered offenses in the NFC. Baldy, want to tackle this thing?
I think that's what you're going to see. I think you're going to see 2 good offenses go at it. And I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. But I like the Rams. I like the Rams because the Eagles have not faced an offense like this all year. Look, Russell Wilson can run around. He can make plays. He's difficult to defend. That's difficult. But this is a truly diversified offense. Now, this Ram team went to Minnesota 2 weeks ago, and the Rams completely shut down Todd Gurley, and they won the game handily. Now, if the Eagles do that, they might be able to do it. But I think there's so much play action that comes off it. There's so many dual plays that you got to defend. You got this screen over here. You got this vertical route over here. There's a lot to defend. And, they're on the road the whole week in this situation. I like the Rams to win this game, 30-28.
I'm looking at how the Rams are playing offensive football right now, and I really like it. And I think back 2 years ago, Jared Goff and Carson Wentz comes out. And by the way, these guys are two studs. I mean, they are playing at a very high level right now. And what I did earlier in the week, I looked at Jared Goff, touchdown passes and plus 20 plays. And there are a lot of them. There's a lot of explosive plays down the field. And really, one thing really jumped out at me. His movement in the pocket. Again, we talk with quarterbacks, not just plant, guy open, throw the ball. Guy's not open, pressure, move. He's improved immensely in that area. The subtle little movement and throwing from a unique platform, that uncommon platform where you have a clean pocket, sometimes you just got to flick it out this way. It just, as I'm looking at these explosive plays and touchdown passes, they haven't been clean, like drop back and throw it. He's manufactured plays. So when I see that, along with the Todd Gurley, and let's face it, Sean's done a heck of a job with this offense. He has been absolutely phenomenal.
Jaws, the ghost motion, the counteraction. I mean, they give you more than any other team in this league right now.
And the B word again. They can beat you with Gurley. They can beat you with Sammy Watkins. They can beat you a lot. Robert Woods. They have a lot, and the offensive line.
Cooper Kupp.
I'm going to go right down there to the offensive line. You watch that group. They're pretty damn good. I won't say they're the best offensive line, but they're in the top three right now.
I'll say this. That Andrew Whitworth might be the best free agent signing.
Best free agent signing, yeah. Playing very well. So, actually, as much as I root for the Eagles, I think the Rams win this one 27-24.
Well, you do have some Ram roots there, Joe.
4 years, man. Come on, man. Hey, say hello to some of my friends when you get out there.
I got one. I got to ask you. I got to look this up. Go ahead,
all right. I'm going to take you guys both take the Rams. I'm going to take the Eagles in this one. It's going to be a Philadelphia takeover in Los Angeles like it was with the Chargers earlier in the year.
It won't be that. There won't be that.
Well,
it's
Sean
the
Coliseum.
Sean McVay is worried. He's instituting a silent snap count. He's worried about it.
Wait, I played in that stadium for 4 years in playoff games. The stands are so far away from the field. That place is never noisy. It's just not.
There's no home field
advantage.
There's none.
It's going to be Eagles home field advantage. Listen, I covered those Trojan games and it was loud. Just because nobody watched you guys play.
There's nobody out there saying
we had 80,000 people every game.
There's nobody.
There's Jaws. Hey,
because there ain't no white horse riding into that.
I'll take the Eagles 33.
I just got that one, Baldy.
The Rams 31. Eagles outright. All right, finally.
Would you have that? What
33-31.
Wow.
The Eagles get there's a missed extra point, and they to get to 33. They score 4 touchdowns, a field goal, and then
I don't need an explanation. I just want to score.
All right, I give you this. I give you everything. You were dubious because you're like 33. That's not a football number. All right, now we go to the night game Sunday night. It's a doozy. It's a great rivalry. It is Pittsburgh and Baltimore. The Steelers, Jaws, 5.5-point favorite over the Ravens. The game is in Pittsburgh. What are you saying? What are you smelling?
I love this game. I mean, you watch Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. You watch AFC North. I mean, they just beat the hell out of each other. I think the Bengals had 9 guys in practice on Wednesday. Yeah. The Steelers are all beat up. The Ravens may be the ugliest team in football right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're 7-5. There's nothing that excites you about this football team except for maybe Justin Tucker. That's about it.
Yes.
That's about it. You cross the 40, you got 3. So that's how we look at it. Pittsburgh's a little banged up, but I'd like them to win the game. 24-23, they don't cover.
Wow, 24-23.
Yep.
Ravens without Jimmy Smith the rest of the season. You going up against Pittsburgh and those wide receivers, and you don't have your ace corner?
Could be a problem.
It could be a little bit of an issue. I mean, Marlon Humphrey will get a start. I like Pittsburgh in this game, 27-20.
Yeah, I like the Steelers as well, 24-16 Steelers. All right, last one, the Miami game at Monday Night Football. Miami hosting the Patriots. So if you thought it wouldn't get ugly enough.
That'll be a home game for the Patriots.
In South Beach.
Those Patriot fans will be down there.
Yes, they will. Partying in South Beach all weekend.
They're getting sunburned right now.
Let's
go.
the Patriots an 11-point favorite. Baldy, what do you see?
The Patriots don't take games off. They don't take games off. They prepare every week.
Not in December.
No, this is their time. And Miami, to me, is just a mess. They've been a mess. And I'm anxious. I'm always anxious to see this, Jaws, is to go back. Like, I got to see the Patriots firsthand last week, so I saw it. But I'm always anxious to go back and watch their game to see what they did. What was their game plan this week? Because you try to guess and anticipate, and you don't know. I never would have guessed last week that Rex Burkhardt was going to be their star player, 2 touchdown runs. But he was. I don't know who. Like, I'm still waiting for Philip Dorsett to break out. He's a Miami kid. He's down there at home. I don't know. Like, Belichick isn't going to give him
flat out fly.
He can flat out. You know, you're putting him and Cooks on the field a lot together. They didn't want to go to him at all last week, either one. But I could see them going after him this week.
And your pick?
Oh, I'm taking the Patriots, 34-20.
Jaws?
I got the Patriots, 31-21. I have them covering.
All right.
So
I have the Patriots.
I got Miami in 11.
Covering as well. New England 44. The Dolphins 6.
Yeah, you are.
It's blowout. It's blowout Sunday.
You got every game's a blowout.
Not every game, but you guys every game 24-23 close game. 44-6.
Hey, listen, Vegas ain't hiring you anytime soon.
All right, Jason.
Wait, Jason. Breaking news.
Former quarterback and head coach June Jones just took the job at Hamilton in the Canadian Football League.
The Hamilton Tigers?
Hey,
the Tiger Cats?
baby.
June's going to go coach in Canada. He's going to live in Hawaii.
And lately, I guess Baldy turned down a Tennessee job. So,
Baldy, what's turned down? Where's he go?
Sources say Alabama D coordinator Jeremy Pruitt is taking the job. Brett McMurphy just tweeted that out.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
We'll go with Jeremy Pruitt.
All right.
Wow.
And Herman Edwards took the job at Arizona State, by the way.
Yeah.
Hey,
How about Herm?
I got to give you. I just did a little Herm story. It's Herm. You were Herm. There's always stories. So Herm calls this morning. He said, I left him a message yesterday. He said, I started to get beat on Herm. Hey, Ronnie J, started to get back to me, and I was really tied up. I got a lot going on. You know, Herm got a little squeaky voice, you know. So he gets back to me. I said, he goes, I was on a plane. I said, where are you going? He goes, I'm going back to Bristol.
To work?
I said, where are you going back to Bristol? He goes, I'm going to work for 3 days.
What? He's the head coach of the Sun Devils.
Yeah, so now here's
Wasn't he in recruiting time?
So here's so I said, so you're going to work? He goes, I planned this. He goes, this is recruiting for me. It's recruiting. So we watch him on. We watch him on
TV.
He went like 10 minutes pitching Arizona State University.
It's brilliant. It's a brilliant move. Yeah.
What are you going to do? Oh, no. Yeah, Ronnie J, I'm going to go back to work, man.
John, he seems to take
I love her.
He seemed to take exception to the name Devils, though.
Yeah, I know. Well, he's a Catholic. Herman, it's funny. There's always like a coach gets hired. Well, he's too old. He's away from the game. You know, people just like make crap up. You know,
that guy has so much energy, Jaws.
He relates to everybody.
Yeah.
He'll
be great with kids. He'll be great with kids.
Will.
And you know what?
That's right now.
He does it the right way.
Yeah, he does.
You know what? I don't care if they don't win the game. I mean, I
He'll
care.
have a good culture.
He'll develop good human beings in that program.
Yeah. You're right on. Yeah. All right, there it is. That's the latest episode of the Meatlocker. Tune in next week when Jaws will take us to China. You ready, boys?
Go over to Meatlocker.